Hello, everybody, and a happy Wednesday to you in Penguins land. This is the Post-Gazette Penguins show. I am Jason Mackey alongside a special guest today who I guess he won't really be a guest. He's a guest today. King Jemison has been helping us out with so many different things at the Post-Gazette, but he's really been leaning into hockey. He's been doing a great job. Has a story coming on Will Horcoff, just for example, but King has done other things around the rink. What's going on, my man? How are you?
Man, it is starting to feel like a great day for hockey because Pittsburgh winter has arrived. We have snow blanketing the ground. As a Tennessee boy, it's still unfamiliar to shovel my car out. But it didn't turn into Snowmageddon as we had feared. But yeah, I mean, I think that you're picking a good time to head to Tampa Bay and Dallas over the next few days.
Yes, I am, King. I am excited about getting away from the snow. Although I'll say it's a weird trip to pack for. I've been agonizing over this because, it's not super warm in Dallas. I mean, it's obviously warmer than here. But, I'm going Tampa to Dallas to Orlando for the MLB winter meeting. So I've got to be, warm. And as you're learning, it is frigid around all things hockey. So I can't exactly roll into, hockey with a short-sleeve dress shirt. I'll turn into an icicle. But those are not actual problems. Nobody wants to hear a sports writer complain. I cannot wait to go to those places. I'm excited. So you're new to the hockey thing a little bit, but as a Tennessee boy, is the blood changing? Are you getting used to this?
So I spent a year in Chicago before coming to Pittsburgh in August of 2024. And I think that was like boot camp for me because Chicago winters obviously make Pittsburgh seem mild. I got one polar vortex, had to take the dog out, and -30 wind chill. It doesn't mean I like it, but I did start to change the blood a little bit, I think. I changed my tune on running from I wouldn't run in anything below 30 before to I'm like, okay, as long as it's above 15, I can run outside. It's going to suck, but I can do it.
So Dave Molinari covered the Penguins at the Post-Gazette, Hall of Fame hockey writer. People listening to this know it. And I swear we're going to get to actual hockey talk here in a minute, but this always amazed me. Being around Davey on the beat, he'd be walking around in shorts and a t-shirt. That's what covering hockey for 35 years or whatever, that's what it does to your blood. He's unaffected. I'm there huddled up, just shivering. No, it wasn't that bad. But anyway, all right. So we got a great show today. A lot to talk about. I want to talk about King's Will Horcoff feature that is not published yet, but he's going to tease it a little bit. And also just kind of the state of the Penguins. It was a very good win over the Flyers the other night. We'll talk a little bit about that, but more so the storylines attached to it. Tristan Jarry, how much of this is sustainable? How should the Penguins be going forward with their goaltending? Some of the things they're going to get a boost on a couple of lines. What might that look like? But the big picture question, can the Penguins keep this up? Things are going well. We're after American Thanksgiving. They're in playoff position. How sustainable is any of this stuff? One of the things we always do here, start with some odds from FanDuel, and sportsbook.fanduel.com is where you can check that out. One of the guys we're going to talk about, Sidney Crosby. Not sure I would put him in the Hart Trophy conversation, but nonetheless, if you want to wager a little bit on that, feel free to do so. Nathan McKinnon, the favorite at -170. Connor McDavid, +300. Kirill Kaprizov, +1,400. Jack Eichel, +1,800. Macklin Celebrini, +1,900. So get over at sportsbook.fanduel.com. So, all right, let's start with the Horcoff thing, King. Just to kind of throw it out. It's most recent, and it'll give people a hook to learn about somebody as we get into the NHL team as well. You've been reporting this thing. He leads the NCAA in scoring at Michigan, has been absolutely bonkers this year. What did you learn reporting this?
Well, I think a lot of people know that Will Horcoff is the son of a longtime NHLer, guy who had a 16-year career, Sean Horcoff. Another interesting thing about his dad is that his dad is the assistant GM and the GM of the AHL affiliate for the Detroit Red Wings. So this guy is just born and bred hockey. You can tell that with the way he plays and with the way he talks about the game. He is very comfortable around NHL locker rooms. He is very comfortable talking about his game and where he needs to improve. And he has taken a massive leap this year. I think any Penguins fans who have followed have seen that, he went from a guy that had 10 points in 18 games with Michigan last year. Some context needed for those numbers, not that they're bad in any way, but he was I believe, 17-year-old when he joined the team. He joined them mid-season. came over from the U.S. National Team Development Program and jumped right into Big Ten play. All things considered, he played really well, and actually I think that vaulted up his draft stock to be in that lower part of the first round. Not everyone had him there, but the Penguins certainly did. I think it might look different if he were coming out this year, because the ability to put the puck in the back of the net, to do more with his stick, is really, really showing up this year. And, like you said, he's leading the NCAA in goals by a wide margin. He has 18. The next closest person has 13. He's tied for the lead in points. Actually, 2 of his Michigan teammates are tied with him. So he's on a very good team. But this weekend is an interesting time to bring it up. He and his number 1 ranked Michigan team. Again, this is a team that missed the NCAA tournament last year, but they're number 1 this year. They're playing rival number 3 Michigan State this weekend in 2 games, Friday and Saturday. I believe the first one is on Big Ten Network, so you might get that in your cable package. The second one is where I used to call games, Big Ten Plus, and that's going to require a second subscription for you. But he is a really he's a really dynamic player, and another guy that's turning this 2025 draft class into, I think, something transformational.
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been really good. And I'm not going to belabor the prospect stuff too much more. We have a lot with the NHL team to get to. And by the way, if you want to read more, post-gazette.com, there's a Penguins Pipeline, a new feature that we've started. But you can check out, again, their Kings feature on Will Horcoff, and just updates from around Penguins prospects. I wrote about 2 guys, Ryan Miller and Jordan Chiron, 2 fifth-round picks from this year's draft. But, as King's talking about, Ben Kindle this year, Will Horcoff, those 2 guys, just the draft haul is very impressive. And the way the Penguins pipeline is right now, Wilkes-Barre Scranton's really good. The Wheeling Nailers are really good. Excuse me. And I'm going down. I can't talk. I'm just getting over a cold and it's all draining. So
same.
It's a good thing, but I occasionally sound even worse than normal. All right. NHL team stuff, King. Let's go. This is, I'm fascinated by it because of where, nobody thought this team was going to be any good before the season. Talking about bottom 5 in the NHL. They don't have this, that, and the other. And I was thinking about this. This was sort of the genesis for my follow out of the Philly game. Think of how much has changed. Nobody expected this out of Evgeny Malkin. Nobody expected this many kids to be this productive this early. Nobody expected this out of Erik Karlsson. People thought, oh, Dan Muse, it's a cute hire, a developmental hire. He's going to help young guys get better. I'm not sure they saw him really fixing what the Penguins are doing defensively, team game-wise, how they protect leads. Tristan Jarry, I'm not sure anybody saw that coming out of him. There's this amalgamation of storylines, this amalgamation of stuff that, I don't see any reason after 30% of the season, it might go away, but I'm not saying that it's absolutely going to go away. I think the Penguins are a pretty darn good team, a decent, respectable team who can compete for a playoff spot. And I'll frame the question to you this way. Is there any logical rebuttal? And what gives you confidence, assuming you feel the same way, because I think you do, about them going to the playoffs? How would you argue against it and how would you argue for it?
Well, in terms of arguing against why they might not make it, it starts with the Eastern Conference and the fact that, they've had this great start to the season and they're in the second wild card spot, or at least were after the Philly win. So they could be way better than expected, as they have been, and miss out because it's just a very crowded field. But in terms of the actual hockey, there's not much you can look at and say that this isn't a playoff team so far. As you pointed out in a story after the Flyers game, they're top 5 in penalty kill and power play. It's going to be pretty hard to miss the playoffs if you do those 2 things throughout the season, and both feel sustainable the way they play. Their power play is just absolutely marvelous. The way the puck moves, the chances they're getting, that's what happens when you have these veteran talents. They just feel so comfortable in those situations. The warning signs that I see for regression, I think everybody knows the 5-on-5 hasn't matched the power play and the penalty kill. They're 18th in the NHL in expected goals 5-on-5. That's not necessarily bad. They've scored the 5th fewest 5-on-5 goals this season. And so I think they've been relying a lot on their goaltending in those 5-on-5 situations. I think that if that were to dip, that's probably the number 1 place to look. And yeah, as I said, the other warning sign is just this team is 8th in the NHL in save percentage. They are They are outperforming their expected goals against pretty significantly, particularly when Tristan Jarry is in the net. He might be the all-star again. And if he is, this is extremely sustainable. But if he's not, and I'm not saying he's going to make it, but close to that form. But if he's not that, and then you're having to rely on a suddenly struggling Silovs or a very young Murashov again, then I think defensive issues could become more glaring.
All-star Jarry, King. I don't even disagree with it.
He looked like it last night, or it looked like it on Tuesday night. That's for sure.
He really did, man. He really did. He's been fantastic. And I know you weren't around Tristan a whole lot previously, but like the demeanor is different. There's just a different, like, he in the past would almost feel like not combative because he's not a mean guy. Like, he's actually very nice, but it was just sort of like annoyed with things. And I'm sure he had a lot swirling in his head. But then I think back to Philly. And there was a scene like we're all talking to Rutger on one side of the room, and then Tristan's there just waiting, kind of hanging out. This guy's like hands up on the bars, just relaxing. Like, there have just been so many pleasant interactions with Jarry that like they weren't there. Like, I don't know the switch that flipped. I mean, maybe he just ran out of what's to give and figured, well, let's have some fun with this. I don't know. It's just been like such a shift, but it's cool to see him. Like, I think underneath all of that is like a quality guy, a quality person. And whatever is happening, it's going well. He's playing relaxed.
One quick point there, Jason. We have heard some players insinuate the impact of Dan Muse maybe compared to the previous coaching staff in terms of their confidence. Do you think that there's a way in which Tristan Jarry could just jive with Dan Muse, for lack of a better term, better than he was doing with Mike Sullivan's staff, and that's part of the confidence that he's gaining?
I mean, I think there's a pervasive change around the Penguins with Dan Muse. And like, I need to be careful with that because I really like and respect Mike Sullivan. Like, I think there's a tight needle of thread here with like saying a change was necessary and like there's something fundamentally wrong with this guy. Like, no, Mike Sullivan is a very good hockey coach, and the Penguins also should have moved on. It's the same situation we're seeing with the football team.
Yeah.
But like, they did, and Muse has really changed the way he approaches players, the way he gives them freedom within his system to do what fits them. Like, I don't think it's as constraining. So to loop that back to Jarry, like, I think it's a different team game in front of Tristan. I think that helps. I think everybody's a lot more positive. I think they're buying into what Muse is doing. I think there's a lot of like a healthy edge to the Penguins inside the room, like a lot of people counting them out and not thinking they're going to be any good. And like, here's this guy who has created the aforementioned things, and you're all sort of like uniting behind that. And I mean, frankly, they're not hanging Tristan out to dry. That's probably what he's happy about. Like, they are actually playing some semblance of defensive hockey in front of him. And like, I know the chances, I struggle with this. I included this in a story recently where if you look at their chances over the past 3 years and their chances this year, like, it's about the same, regular versus high danger, 5-on-5. This is not the same team. Like, my eyes don't tell me this is the same team. So, that's one thing where I think numbers can kind of be deceiving. But I think that's what goes into it with Tristan. They're just playing better team hockey. He's not getting, hung out to dry quite as often. And I'd be happier too. I'd be happier too if everybody around me was doing their jobs better. And that's not a complaint at the Post-Gazette, by the way.
I mean, he looks different in the limited time I had in the locker room last year. I believe I was in the locker room after a really pitiful performance from him in the home opener. And obviously that was going to be a different guy, but it's really cool to see the person that he's been recently, and that he does seem so comfortable. He's definitely a quieter guy. And I think that this time it is exuding quiet confidence. And that's what he's going to need to continue to play the way that he has. And I think it's probably fair to say that goaltending more than anything is what has flipped the script of this season, because I think most people went into this season thinking the Penguins might have some of the worst goaltending in the league. Yeah. And instead they've had some of the best.
Yeah. And I want to talk about Sidney Crosby and some of the stuff happening with the forward lines. But before we get there, I want to bring up the goaltending situation, King. What do you do with their backup? Like, as good as Jarry's been, Arturs Silovs has not been good. He's allowed 8 goals on his past 20 shots. He's been pulled from both starts. Do you make a move there? Do you try to bring up Sergei Murashov? I think about it sometimes. I'm not there. I want him to play. But Silovs has to be a lot better than he's been, too.
I think this is to use your sport of baseball as the analogy. He's got 2 strikes against him, and it's probably like a 2-2 count because he played well in the start of the season, and the inconsistency that had plagued him in Vancouver seemingly had gotten ironed out. He looked like a good night in and night out goalie. Obviously, he and Jarry were in the rotation for a while, and then he was actually kind of the primary guy after Jarry's injury, but I don't know what happened to him in Sweden, but the first 2 starts after that have been truly abysmal. I don't know if maybe the shootout struggles kind of took a toll on him because I think that was a loud talking point amongst Penguins fans. But he's got those 2 strikes. His next outing, there's going to be another one coming up. That's going to tell us a lot. If he's completely lost his confidence, then yes, you're going to have to turn to Sergei and let the 21-year-old come back up here and figure it out. But as you said, I think right now it is much more important that Murashov plays and plays a lot. And in his first start back with the baby pins, he was once again excellent, stopped 31 of 32 shots. You know, his numbers in the AHL are ridiculous. He doesn't need to prove anything else there, but he's still not the goalie Jarry is. And so you don't want him just sitting on the bench every night and not getting those reps.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a weird spot with that because I agree with you. Murashov has to play. Like, you're almost doing a disservice to him by bringing him up here and sitting him, and you're not going to sit Jarry. Like, as well as he plays, cool. It makes me think, honestly, of the Edmonton rumors that we've seen, King. And I don't know if this is the right time to do it. Like, the team's playing well, and all of a sudden, like, all-star caliber goaltending, and you're going to trade that guy? But that might be the right move. Like, if Kyle Dubas gets trade return that helps him for multiple years, that, you know, and you can plug in Jarry, and let's say, like, you know, Edmonton's the trade partner, you can get one of their veteran goalies back. They haven't been good, but like Skinner, Picard, whatever, you can sort of platoon them with Murashov. Like, that's the right move for the Penguins now and beyond. I just don't know how that's going to sit in that dressing room right now, given the way they've started the season.
Yeah, and in particular, when you look at the comments that were made from the Crosby camp in the offseason, when you look at, you know, just the conversations that have been there all along about wanting them to continue being a winning team, I think that would be really hard. And yet this is, as an executive, the type of hard decision you have to make, selling high on a guy who his stock is very unlikely to get higher. Like, yeah, maybe he stacks a few more excellent starts together. Maybe he does make the all-star team. But even still, I think he's proven enough that a team like Edmonton, who's desperate for goaltending, would probably pay a premium for him in a way that you couldn't give him away this offseason.
No.
Which is crazy. So I agree with you. I think if that happens, you and I will probably come on here and say it was a good move by Kyle Dubas. But the question is, you know, what type of blowback would he get in the locker room, and how would that disrupt a team that's suddenly looking like a playoff team?
I know. But the saving grace, and we don't need to go any further on this because I want to get to some other stuff. But I mean, the only saving grace I think here is that Murashov, it's not like you're throwing a kid to the wolves. Like, he's pretty much all the way there, you know, and he's exceptionally mature for his age. Like, you don't question whether he's the goaltender of the future. I just kind of want the future to be a little bit, you know, if you can ride this out till like February. But the thing is, like, if Jarry's trade value is good in February, the Penguins are probably going to be good, and then it's going to be an even tougher decision.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm thinking, like, sooner the better. Capitalize on this hot streak. If Edmonton's willing to pay, like, they don't want to see their season slip through, that would make a lot of sense.
I'm sure Dubas is working both of those phones right now. And one other thing that I was looking at some goalie stats last week. It is interesting to note how much better the skaters in front of Murashov have played than they have in front of Silovs or Jarry. Probably just coincidence. It's small sample size. He started 3 games. But when you couple that with the comments of people like Erik Karlsson in Sweden, who told reporters about just how comfortable he makes them feel, the Murashov, a 21-year-old, makes them feel, I don't think that they would be upset about him being the primary starter. I just think that it's almost more the message of like, oh, we're still in a rebuild, that I think would be more, it would be a tougher pill to swallow for those veteran players.
Yep, no doubt. I had to look up real quick, King, about the 2 phones with Kyle Dubas. I forgot about that in 2019 in the draft. So you have one here, one here. It was good.
Yeah, and I'm sure you saw the Dubas and Corey O'Connor video that came out over the weekend. I'm glad that the Penguins actually played into that, because we were all talking about it. Like, I was pretty confused the first time I started to see stuff from Corey O'Connor. But yeah, the 2 phones is a meme that lives on.
That was good. The O'Connor thing, the Penguins did that right, man. That was a great social media video. I loved it. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, King, was Sidney Crosby, which is one of my favorite traditions covering the Penguins, torturing the Flyers. I mean, he did it the other night at Xfinity Mobile Arena. It was fantastic. I thought the Penguins looked really good, but I also want to see it's encouraging, like the young kids line that they put together on the third line, Ben Kindle, Rutger McGroarty, and Billy Koivunen, and I thought that was very good. And I think they're going to get some help back with Noel Acciari and Justin Brazeau. Like, can this group be even better?
I think it absolutely can. And one thing that this is not directly tied to the lines, but, you know, we've talked about how good the Penguins' league-leading power play is. Are you also aware that they have drawn the fewest penalty minutes in the league? That they have not gotten to use their secret weapon that often. So that was something I wanted to bring up as a positive sign. And even though they don't commit many penalties, they're in the bottom third there in terms of number of penalties or penalty minutes committed. They're still like 4th worst in differential. Yeah. So they're not even able to use their special teams advantage. But coming back to the lines, Brazeau clearly was a critical part of that Malkin line. They were really, really dominating, and maybe I think they were the best offensive line for the team at that point in the season. Hasn't quite been the same since he went out. That would be massive. And then Acciari in the 4th line with Lizotte and Dewar, that was a perfect fit. I think they got a little bit of that back with Boko in Philly, is that they just looked like they had that kind of nasty energy again, and that was just a line that's going to mix it up, be excellent defensively. You got a couple great penalty killers there. I think Acciari can elevate that even more and maybe give it a little bit of offense. So, and then when you couple that with Ricard Raquel, who's probably still a little bit farther off, then you're starting to talk about a really well-balanced roster of forwards.
Yeah, that was something I was thinking about with Philly, other than Crosby killing the Flyers, is like you're just like 1 or 2 ingredients away from this absolutely clicking. Like the 4th line they had with Boko, I really liked it. Like that's what a 4th line should look like. And the 3rd line might actually be a scoring threat if one of the young kids can finish some of those opportunities. Like they absolutely created a lot. And the Brazeau piece with the Malkin line is missing a little bit. Like that line has not been as dynamic. So be curious to see that. I think we're going to head up to practice here shortly, and wouldn't be surprised if Brazeau and Acciari are back full contact with the group and have a chance of playing on this road trip. And nothing against Kevin Hayes, by the way, just to finish the 4-line assessment, but I'm not sure he's a left winger on the top line. I think it'd probably be better used in a different capacity.
Probably not. And I did have some fun looking at Penn's lines recently. And one thing that really stuck out is we've talked about getting Raquel back on that top line. Well, at the time of his injury, Raquel, Rust, and Crosby were the worst line in terms of expected goals and the expected goals percentage of really any line that had played any considerable amount of hockey. I don't think that's going to be the case if he comes back. I think that was some weird stuff with just kind of gelling with Rust, who'd been injured, and maybe Crosby still getting his legs underneath him. With the way Crosby's playing now, with the way Rust is playing now, if you add another true finisher to that mix, I think suddenly you're going to start to see that top line be a top line and what we expect. And, Crosby has 18 goals. He only has 11 assists. I think
he better pick up that part of his game, King.
I think that says a lot about who he's playing with, and what that top line has looked like, because they've had to shuffle guys in and out. Tried Kindle there, had Philip Hollander there, and that actually worked pretty well before his blood clot. So yeah, I think that top line is what I'm really holding out for, to see how much that can transform everything below them.
Good stuff, man. Well, make sure you like and subscribe. You can get all of this content and so much more from our Post-Gazette North Shore Drive podcast and YouTube channels. King will be back here plenty, routinely, as much as I can bother him and rope him into doing this stuff. He does have some other responsibilities, but I've enjoyed this conversation. For King Jemison, I'm Jason Mackey. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.